Okay, now we're going to start with stage 3 of the Candela process, that of prepping the meshes for light maps and the rendering of the light maps themselves. The scene is pretty much exactly as it was as we left off in our last section, with the simple addition of 6 point lights that you can see here. Okay, now let's open up Candela, and as you can see, Candela immediately found the references and lists them here. And so the first stage is to simply select a mesh that you like, either in the scene or on the list, select all the copies, and give them a name that's appropriate to their mesh. So in this case, I'd probably want to call them column map. Okay, so now all the light maps that will be attached to these guys will have the name column map in them. All right. The next thing to do is to set the size of the light maps themselves. I mean, a 64 by 64 light map probably isn't going to cut it for anything this big. Okay, so 512 by 512. And let's set it to targas, since targas are accepted by just about every game engine out there, Unity, Source, Unreal, what have you. And, they're a good format. Okay, so we have the name, the format, the size, and we know that they're going to go to the light map folder, and I created that earlier, so we know it's there. So now we just hit bake prep. Bam, and down here you can see where it's going to be placing the light maps. Good. So now all we need to do is select the rest of these units, these wall units, like so. Give them a different name. Now, I'm changing the names of these simply for organization. If you wanted to just select them all and just call them, underground scene maps, you could totally do that. It's a little sloppy in my opinion, but you could if you wanted to. Okay, so now they're all called wall map. Make sure you hit enter. And you hit bake prep. Bam, everything's set down there. Now what that did is that it attached what's called a bake set to each of these meshes. So if you went, let's see, you select both here and you go to bake sets, each of these meshes now has a bake set with the properties that we programmed into Candela. That means that the instructions on how to render are stored in these nodes. Okay? This will come in handy because that means that all we have to do is hit bake, and it will bake everything for us, and we don't have to think any more about it. So now that everything's all prepared, we select all, okay, and all we have to do at this point is hit bake. And it's going to chug through its little thing. It takes a while. As always, the more meshes you have, the longer the render time. Also, the number of lights, increase the number of lights, that also increases your render time. You're going to get an error message from the Mental Ray plugin saying, hey, I'm already on, you don't have to turn me on. Don't worry about that. It's not affecting anything. Still rendering. Bam. So let's see. It should be done. Let's switch to high quality rendering. Bam. Look at that. Now, what's going on is it's receiving cues not from the lights themselves, but from the light maps that are making them glow in the dark based on the light values that have been put on the light map. To prove this, I'm going to open up the outliner, select all the lights that I put in, I'm going to hide them, and voila, look at that. Let's open up our friend the Hypershade again, and let's select one of these guys, and let's select a really bright one like this one, and we'll go graph material on selected objects, and look at that. Remember that empty light map node that we made at step 1? Here it is. It's got a light map attached. and it's giving ambient cues to both of the shaders attached to the mesh. You can even see them kind of glowing through. It gives it a nice glow effect. So we have, in essence, baked the lighting of the scene into the textures of the scene itself. Okay, so the only thing that remains is for step 4, where we actually export the file into a format that your game engine can use more readily.